Before the kids start
official-
screaming.
Yeah, but an official representative here, like
The spokesperson, just to review the note,
Well, we have different.
different issues, or?
Oh, different issues. Well,
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, we have the same.
if somebody can come forward if you'd like and
You got it?
have a seat.
We can't make a decision, right?
Okay, just wanna.
I just read the items?
Yes, oh, sure.
Thank you for coming in. And
Thanks for having me.
absolutely.
So it's Vanessa Kuzmanovsky.
Oh, yes, I got it.
Okay. Okay.
So
Hopefully
you
you
have,
signed in.
so you have some issues.
Yes. So the first issue is that they're putting in sidewalks, and I spoke to Butch about the requirements, and he said that they can be a maximum of 6 inches, and in front of our house, they're like a minimum of 2 feet off the ground. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the sidewalks are like, I don't know why they're just, they were supposed to dig down, they didn't, they just put on top of whatever was there.
So is that supposed to be like fill to match up to the sidewalk?
Do you have lawn yet?
Yeah. Yeah, so
Are they
everything's
2 feet
already,
above your lawn.
yeah.
Is this normal?
So that's the thing, and not only that, but yesterday somebody from the water department came and said that the sidewalk is covering our main water shutoff.
For your house or the place?
I don't know if it's our house or,
It is just for your house.
Just my house then,
It's
yeah.
2 homes,
yeah,
but it's still the sidewalk. is,
Yep.
So they were looking for the
for the valve.
valve and
Yeah,
it was under the
and it's
sidewalk.
completely under there, so there's no way for us to shut it off if we need to.
Unless you
Is it-
cut open the.
Right.
Is
And
it a
then-
concrete sidewalk, or?
Yes, they haven't put the final layer down yet. They only have like the, huh?
Is it black or
Yeah,
white?
black.
Okay.
They haven't put the final like coating on it, so it's still like that rough stuff. They did
So
stop.
it's gonna get higher.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a picture of this. What's
Well,
on the side? What's
So
on the
Butch
side?
went there to see it.
He did.
Yeah, and it's just more concrete. I don't even know why they did it like that. Another issue my husband wanted me to bring up is that it's really close into our lawn too. So I don't know like what the minimum or maximum, inches from the street it should be. But right now it's measuring about 16 inches. So
From, you mean like a strip of lawn
yeah,
could be there?
right.
Is that
So,
2
like-
feet high?
So like a little piece of lawn happens, and then it's 2 feet high, and then there's our yard. So you have to like step up to get onto these sidewalks.
I don't know. We happen to have our review engineer here. This is Newer Circle, Wayne.
Yep,
Are
we
you-
actually drove, Brian and I actually drove by there today. I saw that they had put the base in, that looks like some type of, I don't know if that is actual asphalt, I didn't get out and look at it, it looks like some type of a gravel base, or some type of a, maybe ground up asphalt base that he might have been using. There's no asphalt berm in yet, so it appears that it's a lot higher, and it still may be too high, I'm not sure. But you're gonna have another 6 inches in the road that'll bring it up a little higher. We certainly can investigate to see if he built it in compliance with, how it was supposed to be. I could offer to the board maybe that you make a copy of the approved plans available for these residents to look at so that they can understand where the sidewalk was approved to be, because it may be in the right place and it may just not look right, it depends on what was approved, so I would definitely.
Well, and from the street, when it's hitting Vanessa's side of her house, it's a drop off
Yeah.
for like the kids. I can understand where you may be saying they would clearly need to come in and have a lot of fill and grade her yard again in order to make it.
If you're walking
a child
across
can
my
run
front
right
yard,
there.
you have to step up 2 feet to get onto the
I can
sidewalk.
see where it would be high relative to the street if they're gonna lift the street up, they're not gonna lift her yard up.
Understood, yeah, no, I did notice a couple areas looked a little wonky, and I said, this looks kinda high, and I'm like, well, next time we talk to the developer, we'll see, so. When did they grade that for the sidewalk? Just
Maybe like a
roughly.
month ago,
Okay,
but they stopped after I called.
so we'll get in touch with, the
Ali?
developer, and we'll meet him in the field and look at it, and make sure he's ready and approving the plan. I don't remember, it's been a while since we looked at those plans, but there's supposed to be a consistent pitch from the back of the sidewalk through that level, through the grass strip rather, to the top of the asphalt berm that'll be there out on the edge of the street. And if he built that too high, then he's gonna have to rip it out and
Right.
put it lower.
Well, regardless, it's covering our water shut off, so he's gonna have to
So, yeah, that
do
was,
something
it-
about that.
that can happen. happened, that was probably just a mistake. Those water things actually can be raised.
Oh, okay.
They're usually made to be someplace you can find them
Mhm.
easy, like in a sidewalk, so that the DPW guys can actually locate them versus in the middle of the grass where they get buried. But all the water department has to do is come out and they can actually raise that shaft right up. There's a long shaft that goes down about 5 feet, and
Okay.
it sits on top of your water shut off, and that can be raised up. Or if it's too low now, they can put a new one in.
From what it sounded like, the person from the water department had the issue and was
I see.
confused as to why they put it there.
Why it was- okay.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, I've seen that in a lot of places, but maybe they want it somewhere else, so. But I'll be glad to look at it.
Okay.
I'll be glad to look at it and see if we can help out.
Thanks.
And it's still under construction,
Yes.
so we're not gonna be accepting anything until the water department's happy with it,
Mhm.
our engineer is happy with it.
Okay.
And if there's a situation where you think there's a threat or a risk of a child getting hurt,
Yeah.
give a call and say, this is the area, it's on the left side, halfway down, in front of whatever number, and then we'll just get that addressed. I
Okay.
mean, if there's a safety thing, that's a whole different issue. If it's construction, he has another, I think, year and a half to finish it, or he has some time to finish it. I don't think he wants to, because he probably doesn't want to do the plowing.
Right.
So that's usually an encouragement for them to finish,
Mhm.
but there's no, we can't force them to unless the permit is expiring.
Right. Okay.
What would be really helpful, if you've got specific concerns, if you could just send us a couple of pictures of the exact location and the address,
Okay.
lot number. I don't have my business card, but Brianne does, so just, if
Do
you
you
can
wanna-
just send the pictures.
Do you wanna copy the email that they?
Sure.
So the other two things that I wanted to bring up, one of them is like a smell in the water, but I think someone else would be better able to
Is that
talk
why the
about that.
water people were there?
I'm not sure. I wasn't there, but somebody else should talk about the water. But just real quick, skip to the fourth thing. We just have a bunch of telephone poles that have been sitting, rotting in our backyard from before Ali.
Laying down.
Yeah, laying down. So I just don't know how.
Related to the construction?
They look like they've been like there for a long time, like even before the construction. I just don't know how to go about getting them removed.
If you could check with that, Wayne, and
Yeah, we can look at that. That's kind of,
I'll take a picture of that too. And
I'll defer to the board on how they feel about that, but that kind of is on the verge of the board's purview. You know, the board's responsible for improving the subdivision road and the lot layout and so forth, and and typically the house location, but as far as the actual on-site work of each residence, it's not really the board's purview to do that. So if there's something that the developer has dumped on a specific lot, we can certainly talk to him about it, but it may end up being an issue between the property owner and the person that you bought the house from,
Okay.
to try to get those out of there. We can certainly try to help though.
all right.
that'd be good.
It's not the water coming from the city water, town water?
It is. Does somebody else want to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Town water?
Just
Do we wanna?
come on up and get your name so our clerk can do it. Wow, they're gonna be sitting there, that's great.
But that's if they get the water from the Oakdale. Oakdale.
Is it evenly
No, they don't have wells. Oh, I don't know. What they don't do. I don't know which well feeds. Senior Center's gonna have the same.
Yeah, so regarding the drinking water, at the new Haas Circle development, I think almost every house, if not all of them, little bit after moving in, the water has a strong, sulfur smell to it. To the point where if you turn on the water for the first about 30 seconds, you almost have to leave the bathroom, 'cause it's that bad. We've had, the Crescent Builders has looked into it a couple times. They did run some EPA water tests. They had the bacteria come up within EPA limits, but high. And I've also had I had Cullinan come out and do a water assessment on it. They confirmed that the smell is hydrogen sulfate, which is due to, usually bacteria degrading organics like iron and sulfur.
And you said this is town water?
This is town water.
You think they get water from Oakdale well? That's a common, if you are getting water from the Oakdale well,
And, yeah,
there is, that well has sulfur. So there are last year or so, the
water district.
retirement,
Senior Center?
huh?
The Senior Center, right?
no,
Oriole?
Oreos.
Oh,
The
So
nursing
they
home
do
down the
nursing home
Yeah.
as well as the North Main Street.
Yeah.
There are several people complained about
Oh,
water, they're smelling like a sulfur, as well as clogged the filters, brown
Mhm.
filters, bathtub is brown water, It's
The
all,
filters work?
Huh?
Do the filters work?
yeah, but if it after some time, the
You have to change it.
filter clogged. So it's all brown,
Yep.
the bathtub
water-
is a brown
Does water
water.
have color?
The water itself doesn't, so it's more of just the hydrogen sulfate gas. There is some decent amount of iron, you get some iron staining, which is gonna lead to that, but, it's one thing, but the sulfur,
Did you talk to the water department?
we have not, right now Crescent Builders is saying they're going to communicate,
think
cause everybody's
thi-
still in their 1-year warranty.
This could be the water department.
Well, yeah, I think you guys
Yeah.
should talk to the water district and say, this is our situation, and before the contractor finishes everything up and walks away, if something needs to be done, let's figure out what needs to get done. And a lot of the times, the contractor wants to get the minimum done to meet the standards, and the homeowners and property owners wanna do a higher standard. And then that's where the discussions start, and how things progress from there is kind of between the group of three, the district, the water district, the homeowners, and the contractor, or the property owner.
Mr. Chairman, just for the residents' background information, it's been a while since they put that water line in, but from memory, they use standard, and I'm not standing up for the developer, I'm just giving you background so you know, because we were there during part of the construction. They use standard materials, cast iron pipes or whatever, right, copper lines coming in. I'm pretty sure, I know VHB did not inspect the water line, the water district does their own inspections of all the water. That was inspected, because I remember specifically talking to Mike Coveney about that when the inspections were going in. So I'm pretty confident that the installation and the materials were pretty industry standard, if you will. I think that Vinnie and Paul are right, you should talk to the district and get them out there, because it doesn't sound like, to me, it sounds like a constructability issue by the developer. It sounds like something else with the water distribution in that area. Just go back.
Yeah.
That's,
If it is the Oakdale well, we did receive some other complaints, but they are working on another well. So once the well is, they are doing all the testing and other things. That's what, sometime back, the water department said, if the well is ready, they might switch the wells, right?
So turn off the well that has the
Turn off the
sulfur.
wells with
Yeah.
the sulfur on it. It's
Okay.
a known issue, but I don't know whether you are getting water from the Oakdale well.
Usually
Okay.
when you
Oakdale
talk
well.
to them, you can ask them that too.
So it's Oakdale? Is that what
Oakdale.
Okay.
So in 94 North Main Street, so there is, there is one well there, supplies water for the town, part of the town. So one well is in Lee Street, that's what some of these areas we get.
I'm kind of curious, I don't know your distribution system. Do you guys have multiple wells?
Yeah.
And are they
Mhm.
shallow or deep bedrock? Do you guys, anybody know?
Pretty sure they're deep, and we have 3 and going on 4, I think. They're spread, the water district just did a report, it's on the town's website, and there's some good information in there as to what's going on. There's an iron manganese issue in the Lee Street, in the Oakdale well. There's some other issues that the district has been addressing and going at bits at a time. And I think your site is the end of the line for the water. There might be a couple more services that go down, but the biggest draw, I think, is Newer Circle. But I think it's something that you need to talk to the water district about.
But to add on that, they did tested the wells, they did tested all the, sulfur and whatever the things, but all are within the limit,
Right.
are very, very.
Yeah,
low
but
limit. But
there's an EPA limit and there's a quality of life limit,
Oh,
right?
yes, of
You
course.
can't brush your
That's,
teeth in your
you know-
bathroom, it's pretty bad.
It's better, maybe you guys should check in with the water department.
Right, and sometimes it might be, just need to flush it enough. And that's something, put enough water through the
Yeah.
system for it.
Well, I don't know how much you can flush it. It hasn't gotten any
And
better.
so it's been going for years?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So
I've
that's
been-
the district.
I'm in 2, and the guy across the street from me is in 1, and we've had this issue since we moved in. I moved in June 2 years ago. So
and has it gotten worse or better?
I'd say it's about the same.
About the same?
Yeah, I don't think it's gotten any worse or better. And it's, as Steven said, they said he did some tests and they said it indicated the sulfur reducing bacteria. The bacteria eats the sulfur and it creates the smell. And it also creates, we get like these black rings in our drains and around our faucets and stuff like that, and that's indicative of the bacteria in the water. It's a byproduct. So we get this kind of like black
Well, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really.
Yeah, that sounds
you know,
good.
It's like
Yeah.
kind of dripping off your shower.
I'm sure the water department will be glad to talk to you. Okay,
Thank you.
so are we set then on the issues for the moment?
Should we invite Ali to a meeting, or do you wanna do this all, just with,
No, let's see what's going on. If he's, if he is incorrect, putting something in incorrectly, and he gets corrected and he does it right, we don't need to bring him in and have a sit-down. It's more,
if he does?
check to see what's going on. VHB will go out there and hopefully coordinate things so we don't have to get further involved. But if there's an issue and you go out there and you see that he's 2 feet high and he doesn't want to change it, then we need to get involved.
Feedback,
Yeah.
and you can get him in here if he's not listening.
Maybe there's an explanation. of
So
some
maybe we
sort.
should just ask him to come to the meeting.
No.
Sure, Van will fix it.
Let's-
There's a couple other things that I wanted to bring up as well.
Can we
okay.
get a name for you? I don't know that our clerk is, you're at 2 Newell Circle?
New Haas Circle.
And what's your name?
Josiah Sandstone.
Wanna come up?
Yeah. So there were a couple other issues that several of the neighbors wanted to bring up. One of them is lighting on the street. And we're not really sure what the street plan requires, but there's only, I think, there's only like 2 lights on the street. And so we have a lot of kids, and so there's some concern that there's not enough light on the street, especially at the intersection where it meets Prescott. There's no light there. For some reason, there was a light put in like 200 feet down in front of someone's house, but not at the intersection, which seemed odd, like a street light.
Down in front of the house is that he's also building?
No, it's in front of the original house that was there on the plot, the farmhouse.
Okay,
It's
but
like-
still his property.
No, it was a town, no, the town put in, I think, a light on a light pole or, an electrical pole,
Yeah.
like one of the just regular lights, but not at the intersection. So there's no light at that intersection at night, which is kinda makes it difficult.
Yeah.
So there were some
Well,
questions about what was required.
The light department takes care of the placement of all those lights.
We do an approval of the plan and the layout, but the final implementation and detailed location comes from the lighting plant
Mhm.
in town, and they have certain standards that they apply, so that,
We don't, yeah.
sounds like we're sending you off to everybody else, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those-
the water
If-
district is a separate district from the town, the light department is a separate thing from the town, so those are the 2 that we don't have a lot of.
Okay.
Do you think maybe in the development, at the end of the development, he can put some lights?
It's,
No?
he does what he's told to do by the lighting
Oh,
plant, so it's the light plant that you
So
really
if it is the
sets things.
street light, that goes to the light
Well,
department?
the light at the end of the street, at the intersection, would probably be the lighting department, but there also are not, we don't feel like there's enough street lamps. He's put up 2 street lamps on the actual.
That comes to
development.
us.
Well,
The
we,
street
but we
lamps
don't,
inside
but
the
plans-
compound.
Right,
But the
but
plans
the-
never specify the location of the lights, we leave that up to the lighting plan,
Oh,
to decide where those
And
get
and there are
placed.
standards for doing it. And I think we did, we looked at certain locations in this, and they seemed adequate at the time. We're trying to balance too much light versus enough light,
Right.
and it depends. I don't know the style of light that they're using. I think they changed it for this one.
It's just like a
using-
post, it's just like a black post lamp with the, like a lamp post type thing on the top.
Right.
You have,
Tall or not very tall? Like,
I don't know.
your
Probably 15.
utilities,
Yeah, 14, probably about
so
14.
lower than the
your
street lights.
utilities underground?
What's that?
Utilities are underground?
Yeah, so they just have a post.
So what do
coming
they use, yeah, cause they replaced all the lights in town, the overhead ones, with the
Yeah.
LEDs.
up. Right, so that's
Are
why.
they LEDs, do you know?
They don't work, so we don't.
They're probably supposed to be LEDs.
Oh, they haven't been? No, see, they didn't, I don't
The
even.
lights,
That might be why it's.
All the
different.
lights are down by their end, because I'm at the front of the street. There's no lights down where we are,
are you
basically.
saying there are lights there, but they don't work?
Well, they haven't
Yeah.
been set up yet.
Oh, but they never worked.
They did work
They
at some
did
point.
work at one point.
They did work at some point. The one that, he had like one in, I think, when we moved in, and that worked for a while. I lost track of.
Oh, that's that's nice.
Yeah.
That's tall, all right.
But we-
So that could light up the
we
street
have
pretty
2
good.
of
It's
those.
a,
If you turn them on, yeah.
Turn them on. And like I said, they're both down towards the end of the street, so towards the beginning of the street, there really isn't much there. And since we
Yeah,
don't have any street light from
Down at
Prescott
the
and the intersection, it's kinda like you got this big dark section, then there's two lights towards,
At the top of the hill.
towards.
So if it is not working, you didn't talk to Iqbal Ali?
I didn't know it wasn't working, actually. Like I said, those are in front of their houses, so I have a 3-year-old, they go to bed at like 9 o'clock. so.
Mr. Chairman, just a comment. I think, you should call, what's the guy's name?
John
Fish.
Fish. Yeah, he's
They
really
should get-
good.
You should get in touch with them. I think there's a process if a resident or a street wants an additional street light to be installed, that you just need to apply for that. So if there's a concern with the intersection per se, I'm guessing that they could probably find a way to work with you on that.
Yeah, and they, like we said, they are a separate district, so they can do what they want. I mean,
Right.
generally,
Yeah.
they do what's best for the town, and they've been really good in all the other situations, so
How do you spell-
contacting them would be the
What's
best.
that?
How do you spell his
idea.
last name?
Fitch, Jonathan Fitch. He's right at the intersection of Goodale and
Electric
Crescent.
Okay.
Yeah, the light
The light department.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Westfield.
So you just walk in there and ask for the manager.
At the same, do you think those lighting poles on the back of the property are theirs also? Maybe
They
they
may own them,
We can mention
just
it to
haven't
them.
taken them.
And they might say, oh,
Yeah.
that's where we put them.
Well, a lot of times they'll reuse them for other
That's what I mean.
situations, right?
Yeah.
Those are
So it's not the developer
No,
Yeah,
that
they-
put the lights?
I think they were probably left
It's
there
not
by
the
the
developer.
farmer originally.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea, but the poles she's talking about, they're laying in the field, yeah, they're like old.
Oh,
They look like they were something that was ripped down and left there maybe during the demolition. Who
Oh.
knows?
That's possible.
I would just certainly talk with the
Yeah.
light plan. I
Yeah.
think that,
Mhm.
you know, they probably do have I know they have standards they follow, and they try to balance the amount of light for the length of the street and so forth. I've worked on a lot of subdivision projects, and everyone's different. I've worked on 3 or 4 recently in the past year that literally the residents are begging them to remove the lights. They don't want any lights.
Right.
And then you get folks like yourself that would like a couple more. So I'm sure they do their best to balance, so maybe it's just a discussion with them. I don't know if they're gonna go back and make the developer add more on the roadway, because they probably already agreed with what he was gonna do, but maybe they can help with the intersection, or maybe they can at least get him active for you guys, since he
Yeah.
sold the house in the street was not complete.
Right.
Did you, something else too?
Yeah, there were I think 2 other things. One has to do with the sidewalks. So they put in an initial length of sidewalk, I think, right about the time when we moved in, maybe a year and a half ago. And that sidewalk is already starting to like crack, and there's cracks and there's grass coming through it. So I don't know if there's a quality requirement for what he puts in, or if he's gonna. We just want to make sure that he's gonna repair any of that before he leaves, and we're not end up with a
Our
sidewalk that's
engineer, I can see him writing feverishly
already
behind it,
falling
so.
apart.
If it's
One
falling,
new, one new.
doesn't get signed off unless the
Right.
stuff is.
I mean, I'm pulling up weeds next to the sidewalk, and it's pulling up the asphalt. Like the asphalt's like.
Yeah, it was
heaving.
probably just a temporary thing.
Okay, so that was one thing, and then
Just so you understand the process on this, so the applicant, they come through, they get an approval from the planning board, and then they start to build the roadway. Sometimes they're very fortunate, they're able to sell all the units before the road's done, sometimes the road's finished first, it depends. But ultimately, when he finishes all the sidewalks, all the curbing, all the top course on the roadway, we're gonna have to do an inspection on behalf of the board, and if there's things that we find are either inferior, degraded, whatever, substandard, it's gonna go on a list, and he's gonna have to do it again before the board's gonna let him, off the hook, get
right,
his bond released, and this will become a public road.
right,
So the town is holding a bond for him
Right.
to finish the work, so
okay,
he's not ready to
Okay.
run yet.
all right. The last thing, and I don't know if this is something for you guys or not, but there was talk of getting a sign, like a slow children at play type sign on the street.
I can
We
talk
heard
about-
about, we heard about this last night at the
Go ahead.
transportation committee. Right. What did Bristol
So,
do?
the thing is,
What-
the, I'm on the transportation, he's on the transportation. So that came up, and just a one line, so the board did not know, is there really needed a slow children?
Well, whatever the standard signage
So
is.
we were.
So,
yeah.
we want to know, is it really necessary? So, how many kids are there? So, and then, we wanted to get some input from our public safety police chief.
Yeah.
That's what we.
We were
thought.
wondering if it's a cul-de-sac,
Mhm.
not a through street. The only people driving on it are you.
You would think
So-
so, but we have
Um,
people
We have
who
a lot
just.
of- Oh, sorry, we have a lot of trucks, cause I'm there during the day, that use it as their like turnaround, like landscaping people and everything, cause they
and we have people who just decide to come down the street and then like burn rubber for some reason.
Oh, I'll stop.
Yeah,
Why do you do that,
I've
Mark?
had a couple of those, you know, and so and there are a lot of kids. There's probably 20? There's probably like 20 kids with a couple more on the way. I mean, already on the street. So there's a lot of little kids, and they're out there playing and
So you think
Yeah,
the
no,
guy,
absolutely.
you think the guy burning rubber is gonna pay attention to the sign?
we don't know. He'll pay attention when. Never mind.
Well,
When you have 6 angry fathers coming out of their houses.
I understand. You were wondering, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He wasn't, he didn't object to it particularly. He didn't have the sign in stock.
No, but
You'd have
we,
to-
no, we did say to them,
But
we
he
need
said
to
he
get,
was
we
gonna
need to know how many kids,
Well, it sounds
there
like
are
it's
kids are there.
Yeah.
And if it is
Yeah.
kids are there, we do need to get the recommendation from the police chief. That's what we say
Yeah.
on that.
He makes things
If
happen
I-
fast, because
Yeah.
it's a safety issue.
Right.
So it's being considered by the
Okay.
town to put
Okay.
one up.
Alright.
Okay. I understand that issue.
All right.
Okay.
When you discuss or when Crescent Builders has to come before you to see if it is accepted or not, will the residents of Newha be notified when that meeting is taking place?
There's no requirement for a public hearing. It's an operational thing between the board and the developer, but it will be posted in our meeting agendas.
It will be on the agenda, but it's not a public hearing.
Right,
Okay,
right.
okay,
So you're certainly welcome to
To attend.
to attend
yeah, we're
when
just
that happens. Yeah.
how that.
Or if there is any issue, you can write to us.
Right, well, but they won't know when it's
Oh.
happening, so.
Yeah.
Well,
When
it's
you
not
guys
gonna happen
do-
before
You
that second
can
code.
subscribe to any board's agenda online and get the mail message.
There was one other thing, which is more of a question. Today, this happened today actually. They came by and started digging holes in our lawns to plant trees without anyone telling us. I didn't find out until my neighbor texted me a picture. There's a backhoe in your lawn digging a hole, and I'm like, what the heck's going on?
Well, the street's still, and the whole development's under construction,
Right.
so.
Did you know you were getting trees eventually?
No.
Oh, no?
No, we were never told that. And so the question is really, we understand now that that's a requirement kind of the planning board of the trees.
Shading and
But, yeah, exactly, but can we move them if we want to, if they're on our property?
It's
Like,
kind of between you and the developer, but I
Well,
mean,
he said
Is
there was a
there's
requirement of 75 feet, but if we want it, so in other words, he decided to plant one like up on the slope of my lawn, and I'd rather have it like 5 more feet down, but would that violate the 75 feet, or if I sign a waiver
No,
or say?
I don't know that we're not that restricted to the number. It's
Okay.
the idea that there need to be shade trees along that area. You couldn't take the tree that he's putting in the front that's a maple and say, okay, I want you to give me an apple tree for my backyard.
No, I don't want that. I just
Want-
would like to maybe move it down a few feet, or they just planted them without really telling us.
Well,
so-
it's something you'd have to work
Okay.
with for.
We just wanted to make sure that, I just wanted to make sure that wasn't
'Cause-
gonna be an issue in terms of the planning board. You guys
Right.
don't care.
No, our engineer's good, but he doesn't go out and survey each tree and say, this is 5 feet off.
How many trees per lot?
Right.
From my perspective,
Per foot.
representing the board, I don't really care where he puts them, as long as he puts the amount of trees on the lot that he's supposed to.
On the lot, you mean the whole property, not on each
In
lot?
within the front, it's supposed to be within the front yard.
Yeah.
Right.
and a lot is, you have a lot, they have a lot.
Okay, right, that's what I wanted to, and I think some of my neighbors said they don't want the trees at all, and they said,
Yeah, that would
The
be,
planning board requirement required is the trees. I mean, I guess, once the street gets accepted and everything gets closed out, if you chose to remove the trees, you can do what you want.
well, I'm not sure that it's, I think the right-of-way for the road goes beyond the sidewalk. So I'm assuming they're putting the trees in the right-of-way.
I don't know if they do that all the time. I think
They're
the
not doing it
requirement is
still.
just somewhere in the front yard. You could be right,
I
but
don't know.
I've seen them put them just in the front yard, like 10 or 15 feet behind the sidewalk.
Right.
Equally spaced maybe between the front of the house and the sidewalk.
yeah, they're putting them like basically where there is a sidewalk, they're putting them on the inside of the sidewalk towards the house, probably about 4 or 5 feet in.
Yeah, so that could be within the right-of-way.
Could be.
Okay.
What is the right-of-way requirement? What is the
It's,
standard?
is it 40 feet or 50 feet?
Measured from the
50
center,
feet.
measured from the center line of the road.
It's 50 feet wide, and from the center line of the road, it's 25 feet on either side. And so it usually includes the sidewalk plus a little, or the sidewalk ends up being at the very edge, and it varies with the way they're proposing it.
Got it. Thank you.
Don't we usually have more space between the street and the sidewalk, like we have a couple of feet. So the snow buildup won't be on the sidewalk, it'll be on
We
that.
had that discussion.
Yeah, it varies depending on where they are though, like she was saying, on her lawn, on Vanessa's lawn, it's like 1.5 feet. On my lawn, it's like probably 4 or 5 feet. So it seems to,
Somebody's not paying attention.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking is the water department's problem, because they probably have their thing about a foot from the street, figuring that the sidewalk was inboard more. And then when it was only a foot from the road, now it's over
yeah.
where the water department thought would be in the lawn.
Right.
You know,
Well, when they did the sidewalk on mine, the water main on mine goes through the sidewalk as well, but they actually.
it's 4 feet in.
It's right through the middle, yeah, it's through the middle of the sidewalk, and they brought the thing up to the level of the sidewalk like you're talking
a little
about.
manhole.
So they were paying attention when they did mine, but apparently not.
Yeah, well, that's what they should do. I mean, so-
Anyways.
Okay,
I'll let you-
great. Thank you all for your input. Contact us anytime.
That's why Wayne, that both of you are here. This is.
But we gave you some action items, so.
Right.
I'll look into it.
Yes. Thank you for coming.
I'll leave you alone the one silver business.
It's all right.
Okay, this is what,
Great.
it's a town of residents, this is what it's about.
All right, 7:30. Good timing.
Well, yeah, but
No,
we're
we still have
behind.
7
That's all
o'clock
right.
public
We're all
hearing.
right.
Should we do the seven?
Do we have to
Should we do the
formally,
7:30?
7:30, that's public meeting. Yeah.
Public hearing, 7:30.
do we have to continue the public hearing or something? The emoji thing?
What?
Do we have to tell everybody that the emoji public hearing is not tonight, it's gonna be moved to another night?
Is it?
Why?
Oh, are you here? Oh, I thought somebody wasn't coming.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, okay.
No,
Did you need these?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just for comic relief, right?
I don't know. Some days I wonder.
Okay.
We all have our own special skills.
Oh, no, it was, what was the other one that we invited?
No, someone was gonna submit something and they're not ready to submit.
No, that wasn't it that I'm talking about now.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we're continuing the public hearing, and it's a hard G, right? Amugi?
Imugi.
Amugi. For 1800 Century Drive. Where did we leave it off last time, and what things were left undecided or unknown?
Well, I think he'll cover it, right?
Yeah.
So, from what I recall, the board seemed pretty good with the proposal. Wanted to make sure VHB, all of their comments were addressed.
Yes.
That was the biggest thing. And we discussed one waiver, which the board seemed to kind of be okay with, but hadn't formally voted on it. That was one thing to do tonight. A couple housekeeping items was to get a copy of the newspaper clipping from
Oh, yes.
the advertisings. There was one that hadn't been found, and we had sent that over.
Oh, good.
Getting the board a copy of the variance, the ZBA variance, the recorded version.
Yeah, I gave that to you.
We sent that over too, so, and then what was discussed was, again, to try and help us out and get the construction as soon as we can, that have a draft decision kind of all set up, ready to go tonight, so we can basically close the hearing, endorse the decision, and then file it, tomorrow. And it seems as though, and I appreciate everyone's efforts, VHB reviewed their stuff, our stuff, we did some more revisions, and then reviewed that again, so I think we're good there. A draft decision was sent out, and that seemed to be pretty good, some conditions and everything, but I think we addressed most of the items that were presented. I can go through the decision.
I think Mark did a good job on this list.
I don't write letters.
Acha?
No, that was Vinny.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I have some 11 by 17s too, if it's helpful. So the roll plans I just brought today were actually revised today to address a couple other minor items that had come up in the re-review. And the two items that were revised today were to move some trees that VHB was concerned with. They're kind of conflicting with snow storage, so we moved the trees back out of the snow storage area. And then also we added some more dimensioning of existing and proposed drives and walkways, to address further comments, there as well. And then the previous revisions, included, really the biggest revision was, adding a, recharge area off of the back of the roof to try and do the best that we can to get some recharge on the site. Although I think a lot of us feel as though it could be difficult to do. Seems to be some known ledge on the site. We discussed that at the last meeting as well. But to do the effort, we showed the proposed stormwater infiltration system in the back of the building with some notes on the plan, basically saying, got to do some testing prior to construction to verify the suitability of the soils, presence of ledge, and whatnot, and then those results should be given back to the board to see and go from there. And I believe that was a draft condition listed in the draft decision as well. So the copy I have, it was nice, whoever put it together, had highlighted a few things that seemed to just make sure that everyone was on the same page and we're okay with the conditions.
Right, yeah, while I was drafting, that's what I'm looking at now, is the approved site plan is entitled, and I gotta change the title.
So the
On
date
that.
would be today's date.
I got the date change. But the approved plan, it says 15 plans. It contains 15 sheets, and I'm at 21, 22 sheets, or are these multiple copies?
There's 2 copies there.
So I gotta count, that's all right. So I need to change. No, I get one.
Yeah, yeah. There's also a blank number 2 on conditions.
You want to add another condition?
I suspect it was a function of hitting return twice, and it renumbered.
So depending on which.
Bob,
there was a-
do you know why?
Page
Again, I
2.
didn't write it.
Page 2.
Yeah, the conditions, number
All
2.
of them conditions apply. 2 is blank, so.
So 2, for what I see was done, there was a 2 before that was in reference to the proposed snow storage locations conflict with landscaping. And so we made that adjustment on the revised plans you have today.
Okay, so there shouldn't.
And so the one that I have, the copy I was given, has a new number 2. Basically, the numbering just shifted. The number 2 now is deep test holes shall be completed and results.
That's all.
get Brianne's edits late this afternoon?
We got those late this afternoon, and I'm not sure that I actually didn't even read those, because
We incorporated all of our concerns and all of the applicant's final revisions in that, so you guys shouldn't have to do anything. The only thing that I just caught is we probably did have the date of the plan wrong.
Yep, and the number of sheets.
Yes.
Is it
The
11
number of
sheets?
sheets is 11, I counted?
Yep.
Is that what you got?
Yep, twice.
22?
Yeah. It's quick. So, that stuff can be changed on the first page, we can consider that, but I think the issues is what we wanna talk about, right?
I want to fix that.
When you're done.
Yeah. And that doesn't affect spacing or anything like that, it's just,
Right. So page 3 is, so you're saying we'll redo pages 1 and 2 and leave 3 and 4 alone?
Have a copy of this? From late this afternoon?
Yeah, that's what I printed out.
So again, from what I recall, the outstanding items were the housekeeping paperwork that we submitted, addressing VHP's concerns, which I believe we have, and the ones that haven't been, they've incorporated that in the conditions for the approval. And then is the matter of the one waiver request, which we did send, made it official and
we
submitted the
just need
letter.
to change.
The
Asking,
traffic?
that was the traffic. yeah,
Okay.
basically.
Yes.
Which that was discussed in the decision as well,
Yes.
draft decision.
Yep.
Can you add that to hers? And just change, so you just need to change the title and the number of sheets on that version? Cause that corrected the number 2,
Yeah.
And it also, well, actually, I think, Brianna, did yours include the numbering of the widths of the sidewalks and the pavement stuff?
Yes, mine had that, it shifted so that, that's number 3 now, number 2
Okay.
is the
Right, so-
test pits.
That condition is still in there, we did make that.
They made the
update.
changes on the plan, so that's what I was just thinking.
Oh,
Since
they-
they made the changes on the plans that are dated today, we don't need that one.
Yes.
So we may wanna go with,
That's fine.
did you look at the one that I sent? How different is yours from the one that I sent
The one you sent yesterday?
earlier tonight? Oh, no, I guess I just sent that to Melanie with the changes.
Can I look at it while we're here?
Yeah,
So I know which.
right,
Can you take a look at that? Sure.
just to make sure that we get, it would be easier to change that one if we need to, but. All right, but, so the board. You wanna-
What's your question?
Waivers?
Do we have,
Right, already have questions, I guess, first.
We have one waiver, right?
Yes, but do we have any other questions on it, and then we can vote to close the public hearing, and then,
Oh, yeah.
then vote on the waivers, and then, approval. I still have to write that up for you, don't
Any other questions from the board? Comments?
I'm good for the whole thing, and approve the waiver.
Any questions or comments from you?
No, we need to close the
Nope.
public hearing.
No, I think that
Okay.
was everything.
Do you have to? You can't vote on waivers while the public hearing's open?
We need
We're
to
in the
close
hearing, we're not in, voting.
You can't vote during a public hearing?
No,
Sure.
No.
I don't, that's not the way it's usually done, I don't know.
No, I know.
maybe when you.
The way
when-
we do it, but
No, yeah.
I wouldn't
when
say
you-
that that's always,
I don't, that's why I say it's not, it could be legal, and it could be done that way, but
Maybe next year.
I don't
you
know
if
for
he
sure.
If he becomes a chair,
That's
you can
right.
do that.
it's gonna be all
chair
willy
can do
nilly.
it.
Okay.
So, I don't think we're gonna get any more additional information. I think we have what we need. There are no abutters. You're all set with the zoning is
Yeah, as long, you know,
recording?
the only question, like I said, the last time, the only question I had was that, you know, they got the variance, and it was for 60,000 square foot building and 120-something parking spaces. But they didn't build
Right.
that building
And
that
they're,
big.
and they're
They
still
didn't
under,
build it, and
they're still way
gonna be
under. Yeah.
with the new building.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this variance
Still good.
still applies.
Yes.
You know, as
Yeah.
long as they didn't go, if they had gone over, then there would have been an issue. And I know that the zoning now says that, you know, the parking has to be either on the side of the building or in the back of the building. But in 2005, when we came, we got this, but like you said, you know,
We
you
got
asked, you know, you said 60,000 square
Yeah,
feet,
so we're good.
you know, and the amount of spaces, and, you know, you didn't do that, and you're not gonna go over it now, so I don't think, and Raj, he can interpret too, because he's on the ZBA, I don't see any problems with that, right?
So I think we're okay.
Yeah.
Do we, I
Okay.
can, I guess,
Motion to close the public hearing?
VHB people, is everything reconciled?
The only one that we had added earlier was, the applicant should provide an abridged version of the, operation and maintenance plan on the plans themselves.
So we
Oh,
somehow,
right.
I know that that's something that
I
the
missed
board always likes.
you did.
The applicant said if the O and M is contained within the report. And I knew they were all done, so I didn't wanna complicate things, but I just said, as a condition, if the board wants to, they can just have them add the O and M to the full plan. You remove that,
No, I actually, that would be okay to do. If we could do that, that would be good. I missed that one. I remember it. It's something we usually always have, and
we missed it during the review, we didn't notice that it wasn't there, so.
That's an easy change.
So if you, you can,
Make it a
if you want to
condition.
add that in, that's.
Yeah. Do you want me to write it in, or do you want
No,
it?
just circle whichever one I'm with, what am I worth it?
Sure, whatever.
Whatever's easier, whatever's easier for you. Number 4 is circle, just to be added.
where the number 2 is maybe.
Yeah, whatever,
Sure,
just.
just throw it in. That'll work.
Yeah, there's no real order, but we would,
So
just need to.
are you all set then, so I can go and start trying to fix this up?
We have a motion? Did someone
I
second?
did make the motion to close the public.
I'll second it, if we haven't got one.
Second it, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hearing's closed.
So now you can go, in, if you could.
Oh, instant service. Look at this.
I know, it's
That's
nice.
That's above and beyond. So,
So did the vote on the waiver, is that what happened?
Yes.
So,
Want a motion?
do I hear a motion?
Do we want to discuss it? Is there a
This is about this is about
You need to-
the,
you need to
traffic
actually
pattern,
state it,
traffic- Yeah, the traffic study,
It's in the draft approval, so
right.
you can just read it.
They've been, yeah. The applicant requested the following waiver from the West Boylston Planning Board, and a decision was voted, well, that's it's predicting a decision was voted for. The bylaws require site plans to identify traffic patterns and impacts. The applicant provided a traffic study during the original full build-out design review. They've been operating at the site for more than 10 years without any issues. That's the detail.
Official request,
Oh, the official request.
section 3.6.d.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so
The
We've been-
proposed building addition will not create any adverse traffic effects.
So they've requested, I move that we issue a waiver to section 3.6D1M of the zoning bylaws to not require that site plans identify the traffic patterns and impacts.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you. And that's it, except for the ship, Melanie's.
And we have to vote on the site plan review
Yep.
and the stormwater management review. So we have to vote on it, and then the actual written document is, because we could do this and then have a draft and put it at another meeting, but since we have it ready,
Since,
We
right,
sign.
since someone had the foresight to actually draft it up before.
the clerk is on the ball.
Clerk, we're gonna double your salary next year.
All right, so,
Okay.
someone wanna move it, or you
Yeah.
want?
Do I hear a motion to approve the site plan review
Okay.
for
Issue the certificate of site plan review approval and stormwater management approval
one vote for both?
for, yes,
Yes.
all one motion to cert,
Okay.
issues,
I will
sign
make a
and
motion
issue it.
to approve the certificate of site plan review approval and the stormwater management approval for Imuji Corporation's 180 Century Drive.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You got
Opposed?
that? No? So on the
You never
waiver,
call for the opposed vote,
Yeah.
and they all pass. That's the trick.
who motioned the waiver and then seconded?
I made the
Made the
motion,
motion.
Mark made
Second.
the,
Second.
On the waiver or on the,
Uh,
on both?
on the waiver, you
On-
made the motion,
You-
I second it.
All right,
I made the motion and Mark seconded it
For the,
so we just gotta let,
site plan.
we just have to let our clerk know when she gets back here, 'cause she,
You're the clerk.
well, all right. Yes,
And-
all right, so we have that, so you have, when she gets back here, we'll have one to sign,
Yes.
so we'll execute that, and then we'll be all set.
Okay.
It'll go to the town clerk probably tomorrow, and there'll be a, I think it's a 20-day appeal.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
and thank you VHB and the board for all the cooperation and helping expedite things. Really do appreciate it. Glad to help. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, oh yeah, and that was great that you guys found the old stuff from 10 years ago. I think that saved a lot of time.
Absolutely, money, a lot of money for the.
Yes,
for the
yes,
construction.
yes.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
again.
that helps.
Should I stick around for, or?
do you want to finish?
Do you want a copy of it? We'll scan it and send it to you, so.
That'll be fine. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
Oh, I'll keep that.
Should we do our 7 o'clock item?
Anything that VHB has to be involved with, get them out the door.
Right. Well,
Because we got
Brian-
2 of them here.
Well, we have,
Do you want me to stop
Say it.
them?
What's that?
Do you want me to get them?
No, we're talking about something else.
He said the blue Toyota truck.
No, we're good.
well, there's 90 Sterling Street to talk about.
So let's talk about that. I wanted to just kind of give you a.
Well,
Well, that's 8:15,
that's
so I wouldn't
8:15,
wanna,
we can't do it before
You can't talk,
8:15.
okay.
well, we could, but
So,
To be, yeah, to be fair to anybody who wants to come for that. Yeah.
any, construction related questions, I can give you a quick update.
127 Hartwell?
They are progressing, Larry's been visiting the site. They finished their clearing, they're putting in the drainage, the underground infiltration system.
Finish their clearing? Was there more clearing than shown on the plan?
I don't
They
think
did.
so.
No, they had the other side of the building to work on. They did the clearing over that we had the issue, or the
Right,
neighbor
yeah,
had the issue
yeah.
on the
Maple
backside.
Street.
side.
Maple
They
Street.
still have drainage and clearing work to do on the west side.
I
so
thought they
think
weren't
did.
gonna do much. I thought that
Well,
all
it
the
wasn't much,
construction.
but it was just clearing along the edge. I mean, there was a lot of growth that has come in, so they were clearing it back.
Because when everybody was here, everybody had the impression that they really were just building out into the parking lot, and there wasn't much more going on, except that there was gonna be, you know, a silt fence or something put in.
And a drain pipe down into that area, yes.
And I think-
And then they tore down a tree in, what's his name's yard?
Right. And
Yeah.
I have not heard anything from the neighbor. I sent him a letter.
Yeah, he
saying-
seemed to be okay.
Yeah, just.
So they had
because
a
he had to leave that one night,
Yeah,
so.
okay,
They had a conversation with, Steve Meridian.
yeah.
So I think, he is
He paid him
planning to put more trees.
Oh, he was definitely doing that. I think that it was annoying
Joe is
that they
happy.
went and
Joe-
were on Joe's property and tore down a tree that
Yep.
he was,
Raj and Mark
Issue,
did the
okay.
issue. And now we're talking about 127 Hartwell.
Oh, you wanna take 1 minute?
Nope.
Sure.
Um,
Did you call me back on that letter?
No, we're good. Nice.
So
So,
now we're just signing this while we're
yeah,
talking.
that's fine, so that's progressing, I'm not, I don't know, I guess you guys might have copied me on one of the emails relative to someone was concerned about the clearing, but what was going on? Because from what Larry said, it seems like they were doing what they're supposed to.
They were doing what they were supposed to, but when they got to an abutter's property on the east side of the
Yeah.
property, there was a big old tree. It was covered in bittersweet and poison ivy, and they were gonna try to rip all that stuff out and rip out a portion of the tree, but the roots went into the neighbor's property. So they ripped the whole tree out and smoothed out the roots, but they were on the other property, was the issue. And there's a 10-foot setback for the building, and the neighbor kind of interpreted that as a 10-foot no alteration in there on the property next to them. So they were allowed always to work up to their property line, but they did go beyond their property line. And the property owner and a developer have promised to replace it and make it look even better than it was
So
before.
as far as we know, there's an agreement.
Great.
That's all.
It seemed like a better thing when I was, from what I
From
saw.
what you described, it sounds like it was better, so.
Well, it sounds like it's an improvement. You take down this half-dead
Right.
ratty old tree, and they'll replace them with,
He said he's putting 4 or 5 arborvitae's or nice
That sounds like a good
trees.
compromise.
Similar trees to what he had at 70 Hartwell.
Those look good, I looked at that, I did.
I haven't looked at it, but good.
So Girl Scouts, you guys sent out, construction letters, I know I reviewed the drafts.
What?
what?
Was that Mark? What did you
Mark
say, Mark?
project,
So.
What?
Girl Scout, your
I love the
project.
Girl
Those
Scouts.
should probably be sent
What's that?
pretty promptly
First weekend
because
of
Girl Scouts are working and they cleared the entire site. And there's erosion control. I didn't have time to get out and see if it was all per plan, but it looked reasonable. But someone needs to tell them that we need to just, everyone needs to have a quick recon and just make sure we lay out the letter of the law before they go too much further.
Good, that makes sense.
Who was the contact? Was it that lady,
Mark Frieda.
I certainly didn't do any clearing.
What was the woman's name?
Smiley.
Suzanne Smiley.
should I contact her?
Yeah, well,
So do we have a letter finalized?
Yes.
Could someone just,
We need the address, and I need an email address to send it to.
I wanna try to jump on that before they get too far, and then all of a sudden we're trying to fix stuff that they messed up, so I don't mean that badly, but miscommunication potential.
I'll get it.
right,
What's that?
yeah.
I'll get it for you. I'll send it to
Okay.
you.
Let me know if you need me to do anything, I'll be glad to email or call or whatever.
Right, that's why we need to stay on top of these. That's
My,
the sign.
My recommendation, and I'll be glad to do it if you guys want me to from this point going on, when we close a hearing, like immediately tell the guy, oh, by the way, Mr. Applicant, you're gonna be receiving a letter.
Oh, we should
gonna
have done
say ABC, we could have done it tonight, but we could, if you want me to, I can try to remind you guys of that in the future, so that you can at least go on record saying it,
Yeah.
so that they can't say, oh, we didn't know we needed to do that,
Right.
so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Usually that comes across though. Vinnie does it.
You know, we used to be, and I say this collectively, and I'm part of this collective, right? So, we used to be more diligent about making sure they knew before they left. I
Okay.
think we've kind of, and me too, all kind of laxed off the past year or so on making sure they knew.
Right, and we put it in, it's one of the conditions, and Brian had read it, so he was okay with all of it, but once he's off and running, it's a whole different story.
So, please make sure you copy me on whatever's sent, just so that I can reach out to them and say, hey, we need to get together.
Yep.
Confirm that he's on there.
Newell was a surprise, so we'll look into that.
For us, for me too. I didn't know they were coming.
What's the surprise?
Yeah.
Newell Circle. There's
Oh,
been like
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
activity out there for a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, no, that just all came up.
I feel bad for these people. It's a little surprising though, that they don't realize everything's still under construction.
Well, I think
they've been living there
I
for
think they don't
years.
like it, is all. It's, and they've got kids and
I
they're
get that,
worried
right.
about
I feel
dropping
the
off.
same way.
so.
137 Shrewsbury Street, I think we're just waiting for them to put their top coats down, and then they're gonna put some asphalt. I did
Yes.
note that retaining wall at the end.
Yeah.
It looks like they must have done that because they wanted to grade the driveway near the,
Yep.
I mean, it looks fine, as long as they show it on the as-built.
They came into us, didn't they?
Oh, did they?
I had heard something, they didn't?
Well,
But I thought there was some discussion that because it was grading 18 inches into the neighbor's property, the neighbor was okay with it, but then when he saw the grading, he said no, and so the only thing they could do was make a vertical wall, and that was okay.
Sounds like a reasonable response, and what he did looks fine.
And I asked him to
There's a
come
fence
in,
there, there's no
right.
drop issue, everything
Right.
looks okay.
And the only thing I saw on that was that he's got those parking spaces in the front, it looks like they're in the front yard setback, I'm not sure if they are, but the storage building, the other building, then he's got like 3 nose-in,
It was kind of tough to
spaces.
tell because they hadn't striped or anything and it hasn't been paved.
Right.
Um,
But that's something to look
Think they modified
at.
the parking maybe?
Most things on that site have been modified,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's why we'd like to kind of get them back in, and they were going to come in, I think, a couple months ago, but I don't,
Do you want me, so Patrick, I think I might have shared this with you guys. Patrick reached out, Patrick McCarty, reached
Yep.
out to me and said, listen, would the board consider, what was this exact language, something like, would the board consider a sign off before the as-built was submitted? And I said, in my experience with these guys, no.
No.
So,
That's a good-
I
that's a good
don't
guess.
even think you should try.
That's
And he
right.
goes, okay, fine. But if you want, I can just reach out to him and say, hey, listen, the board would just like clarification on some potential change.
Yeah,
on some
well,
site
that's-
Changes.
but the last time we heard, I think that's where we were at, and he was gonna come in, cause he was making changes, cause he bought the property next door now, I hear, and
You're right. I
and he
did
was gonna be
notice
doing some
yeah.
development, but then he
You want
talked
me
about
just
something up in the
Ask him
back.
to call you guys to come in and explain what's going on?
Yes.
Maybe
Like,
rather
or
than
send
wasting
me-
time and money looking into it, let him just come in and explain it to you.
Well, cause, and he's got until September, when's the meeting, the 12th, or,
Yeah,
but the first meeting in September would probably be good to have him in here, cause he's gonna wanna close things up before winter, I'm sure.
yeah, September 12th.
So, yeah, getting him in would be good.
So he took the first house down, the right-hand house, take it down.
Right.
But then there's a big for sale sign, so he's gonna knock the houses down and sell the property?
I think he might be specking another business.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but we don't know, cause
Yeah.
it's changing. I mean, our plans, the most current plans show the ball field, but they didn't, the ones that we originally approved didn't, and that changed in the process too,
Sure.
so.
Yeah, but
I don't want it to move.
unless we know him, unless we get the official news, we don't know.
Exactly.
He's eyeing for some other business,
Yeah.
that's what I heard.
Briarwood, they contacted us, Larry had a pre-construction meeting with them this morning, actually. And they're gonna be doing a lot, they've got like, I
Yeah.
forget what he told me, but like 6 or 7 weeks of blasting and stuff. So they're not gonna be doing a lot this season, but they're gonna be getting started, and they've got it all fenced off, we took a look at that today.
Okay,
It seems
to add on to that is, Briarwood groundbreaking is August 29th, 4 p.m.
2000, groundbreaking,
Yeah.
August, okay.
That's
29th,
a ceremonial thing, or?
yes,
Yeah.
so I will be
So
there,
to start their
The
blasting?
chair gets to go to that.
I will be there.
Okay.
sure
No,
there'll be
yeah.
all kinds of.
We don't usually get
No, we
invitations.
usually don't.
So, nothing on Westland Circle. I had a question, I can't, and I apologize, it's dragged out for so many years and years and years. Angel Brook, dead, gone, closed?
Angel Brook is completed,
That's what I
finalized.
thought, okay.
We did get a question from the Hillside Village folks looking for drainage inquiries. Do we have plans? So our clerk is going through the old boxes for the most current drainage plans and that stuff.
Patrick, was it part of the hearing, or did he tell me that they had issues during construction? He told the board, didn't he?
Yeah, 'cause he,
The outfall from the basin up there
Right.
affected his property?
well, yes, yeah,
I
but
thought
it's,
he did, I couldn't remember.
but that basin has always flowed strong in a big storm, and they didn't expect that. They didn't design their thing correctly, and they said, can we work with the abutter? And they wanted us to work with getting the abutter to update, the Hillside Village folks to update their drainage to address that. And it's an existing condition, we couldn't really do that. And
Cool.
Steve, the owner, kinda said, yeah, I guess we'll just amend our plan, and they put in bigger rocks
Yeah, I saw
to
that.
stabilize it.
I just couldn't remember whether that was something he told me, but I remember, now that you say it, I remember him telling you guys.
Were you involved in Hillside Village where they had a couple of blowouts in that same area?
Recently?
No, 15 years ago, I think it was.
So it's ringing a bell that they went back and they like re-armored some slopes and stuff. Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, they revised some slopes, they revised the inlet, because the inlet structures just blew out and went down a hill, so.
Oh,
So then you had to,
probably was just so long ago.
it's been a while,
but-
yeah.
Didn't it just happen when they were putting in that, the project right there?
No, the project, the 70 Hartwell Street.
70, yeah.
That actually went in, and the water is flowing fine, it's coming off, it's not eroding. It's just that once it got onto their property at 70 Hartwell, it started eroding the
Right.
new area where they had worked.
Right,
But that flow always flows like that.
okay.
That stormwater condition always existed, it's just hard to anticipate that.
You know, I'm
Okay.
kinda curious, when you're talking about Hillside Village, that had a pretty massive detention system for the site
Yes.
overall. I'm kinda curious of O&M on that.
That's what the
What
question
they-
was.
What they were supposed to do, and you're gonna laugh when I say this, but I remember succinctly, you and I talking with Mike Stady about this, and we were bitching him out because there was too much compaction in the basin, and you had suggested that he use a harrow, and he didn't know what a harrow was.
Oh, right, we
We-
have,
That
yeah.
was a long, long time ago, but I remember that, cause I didn't know what a harrow was, I had to look it up, I'm like, okay, now I get it. So I'm just kinda curious, like, if they're doing anything, and that could be affecting the downstream
It could be.
runoff, that's why I'm making the comment.
Um,
Not that there's,
Yeah, and it's required in their annual O&M, but that's what, and when we were doing it with the condo association, Mike Stady was very clear, just like he was with Angel Brook.
Yep.
He was walking out the door and this is all the list of things you have to do from now on for this drainage, because that's what I've had to do. And I remember that he did finish it on Hillside,
Okay.
like he did with Angel. It was a little pulling teeth like we had to do, but that's typical for a development. But there was a plan, and I know we have a plan in the file somewhere. I might even have it on a disk, a 3.5-inch floppy.
What are you gonna do with that?
It's somewhere.
You can use that for a coaster when you put your coffee down and you.
No, but he has the computer, still.
and the only other
Right.
thing,
With a floppy drive.
the only other thing was, Sterling Street, I had a couple of comments, not Sterling.
90?
Whatever you guys.
I think
8:15.
the folks are coming in at 8:15.
Okay.
I hope, that was the
So
schedule.
we'll stick around.
Right,
because
so-
I wanna know what, I kinda would like to understand what the issue is.
Yeah, yeah. we need to get
I have
this
one
on.
issue of my own. that I'd like to talk about.
You have issues too? Are we gonna act on Briarwood?
Just sign a letter?
Are these all set to be signed next time?
Sign site plan review approved plans?
Sure.
Add that to the
Oh,
agenda.
We allocated a whole half hour for it.
So sign the plans for Briarwood, are we okay with doing that?
Yeah.
All right, let's lay them out and get signing. Cause we're waiting, is there anything short that we can do for, you got nice light over there. Ooh,
We could, approve minutes.
Special permit?
no,
Special permit site plan application Shrine Ave?
nope, not coming in.
Not coming in? Okay.
They're not coming in?
No, it's gonna be next month, he wasn't ready.
Okay.
Let's put it on anyway.
Is that those condos? Is that address? Sure, is that the condos behind Checkerboard? Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Which one? Shrine?
Shrine Ave is not behind checkerboard.
It's all the way down.
It's the ones next to the, is the condos, there's already
Okay.
4 condos there.
Yeah.
It's that empty lot next to it,
Oh, so not behind, but around the corner from, okay.
and it's up to me.
I don't see a signature block on the campus expansion. Oh, that's it.
I'm gonna take it out.
What's the story?
I don't see a signature block on this one. Or this one.
Make our own.
Topographic plan, that might be the old topography. May not be any new.
How many did they give us?
I mean, what?
Plans to sign?
I mean, I'm getting there.
No, it's okay, it's just wrinkled. But I thought I saw a signature already on it.
Signature blocks. Pulling up, we wanna have,
So he's making the signature block go away.
this one we can do there, and
No, there is a signature block.
the signature block on this one.
Oh,
You need to keep that open, Mark.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's,
all right,
Yeah,
all right.
so that's what he's trying to do, you are blocking all this. Oh, man,
There's no,
there is, that's a,
oh, here,
yeah.
you have a signature block?
right here.
Oh, there's one over here on the corner.
It's not way up in the back or something like that, on these ones. On the ones that are missing, and it's not like way, way, way away. Over there or something?
Nope.
Nope, nothing.
Down here.
Send it back.
We should get a stamp that's
Okay.
signature blocks and everything.
We got to make a block. You need to keep this little open.
Huh?
You got to keep that open,
All right.
so that we can sign.
There's nothing on that one.
No, we were just gonna sign in the title block.
One or two of them have nothing.
Right.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, that is.
Wow, it's a lot of paper space, huh?
Is it the complete project, not just this phase?
No.
I'm going for that ground blanking. Are you coming?
What?
Are you coming for the ground blanking?
No.
I'm going.
You guys wanna
I'd
start
like to.
signing down that end?
No block on this one?
I'm taking line 3.
There's one in the back corner.
I'm taking line 1.
Okay. Here, let's do this.
We didn't want to go through, sorry.
So, in this one, you wanna just sign here with this key plan?
Yes, the one that doesn't,
And this one here, there's, the block is up here. Mark?
Okay.
See that?
out of space.
I turned it down to 60.
80.
Oh, dated. I just noticed there's a date on this. Oh, you dated yours. Would you want today's date, 8/8/8/8/8? Mark, you left one of this.
Oh, and there's this, there's the title, this one, too.
This Mark. One of the other three. Yep. Smooth surface. Well, otherwise my signature's illegible.
Yeah, I know, because Kelly would want that to happen. Gonna trace that baby back to you.
Yeah, when I'm living there. Okay, can I have an A&R, just a copy of one? Well, I can, original, and I'll give it back.
What?
Just anyone?
Anyone, a good one, just so I can look at the format.
Good one.
The last one.
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll give you a file when you bring that.
Yep.
You guys need more pens, Benny, is that what you're talking about?
No,
Ends.
no, you're looking for we have a draft of an A and R in the subdivision control.
Well, there's is there a draft or is there a write-up on what it's supposed to contain?
It's
I
a
found the write-up.
a write-up.
Yeah.
All right, we gotta do this one up here.
Which one's this?
The very last one was there.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay.
I'll bring it back.
Yeah, don't forget. Give me that letter.
It's what?
Give it to me at the same time, give me that letter.
Letter's right here. I might be done with the letter tonight.
Well.
I didn't bring my boots tonight.
Yeah. No.
It's the one next door to me, actually. Oh, you did? Okay. During the meeting or after? I'll have it.
Who's not up there?
That was, a few days, I was actually having fun.
You sent it out here.
It was,
Get back.
yes, thank you. It was not that many days, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, we would want the amount of work that you do, especially doing the area. Because the kids are getting ready to go back to school.
Yeah.
Couple more weeks.
3, 4, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not soon enough. Not soon enough.
Hey, first year of college or?
My son will be in sophomore, no, that's a junior.
I'm bringing my daughter for her freshman year in 2 weeks. To Chicago. She's crazy.
We requested that they stay local because my wife couldn't deal with them being too far away.
Well, I'm nervous about it, but she would, they could have gone to Clark University for nothing, but they didn't want to do that. I'm like, what are you doing?
I'm very fortunate in one way that that didn't happen because I probably killed him if it happened.
Well, I was gonna, but that was worse. Then I got to go to prison on TV. Yeah, it's okay.
Entire town
They
will,
know.
entire town will.
Got more?
I think so.
You need help lining those up?
Nope, why don't you go on to the meeting now?
All right.
Yeah, so far, he's doing okay, thank you for asking. See what happens.
Okay.
Yeah, he did okay. We took one summer course. It was done by July first, which is not really a summer course, but it was. He did good. He's going on.
Our signing intermission is over, and let's talk about 90 Sterling Street. The issue is the driveway, which goes between Route 12 and Route 110. And what's happened is, the folks building the condos have divided that road, so you can't have any access to the existing condos there from Route 12. So mail can't be delivered, and everybody's confused about how to get there. What you have to do is drive all the way around, drive out to Route 110, Lancaster Street, and enter from the back of the building. There was some confusion about what was on the final plans, whether that driveway was supposed to go through, or whether it was supposed to be cut off.
It was supposed to be cut off. Where exactly it was supposed to be cut off, I'd have to stare at the plan to look, but we talked about that, and there was, people were concerned about cut-through traffic.
Well, yes, and now there's also people concerned about access to the existing condos.
Do we have a copy of the plan handy someplace that we can look at?
No, not the current.
No, it's not in the plan file system that we have.
Not the current rev, we have an old rev.
removed from,
We have it.
we have a room that we share with other boards, and it's no longer
Do
in
you want me
that
to
room.
pull something up? I can grab my laptop and pull it out. From our network, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So there's concerns on both sides, basically.
Okay. Let me, it's,
Why don't we
this,
get
we
that
did
one
talk
again?
about this.
Yes.
And we did close it off, just where it got closed off, I don't remember without looking.
So
Do you have a
we're
copy of
trying
the
to get a plan. What?
No.
We'll get that.
Yeah.
What's
The
that?
signed copies, hopefully the scanned signed ones.
Yeah. Otherwise, that's what I'm Cheryl. Yeah.
So did you folks have more to say about that?
Well, why don't we wait for
Wait for
Wayne to get
him?
back,
Okay.
because he
all right.
probably has the history too.
He probably does.
Oh, it looks like we're done.
So what else can we cover in short order? Old business number 2? Or
Yeah.
number
How about
1?
number
Old
one?
business 1, yeah.
We have this.
Oh, that's a good.
Certificate of compliance for the light department solar project.
That's just, I don't know.
Oh, the plans for
Wanna
the
take
s-
a look at it, like,
Did I draft this, or did you draft that?
I did not.
We were talking about, issue a certificate of completion on the solar array. There was a question of, they had done everything on the proposed plans, except for some of the landscaping that was supposed to happen. Different project, while you're
Sure,
looking it up.
yeah.
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, Wi-Fi password, you know, I forget.
I don't even know what it is.
Oh, boy.
I may have it
I
somewhere.
have it someplace.
No.
Is it?
I don't know towns there.
Write it down so that the town doesn't.
That's what I'm going to.
So we get a lot of electrical plans.
Was there an issue?
The only issue was that they have not completed the landscaping
How do I check that?
along Route 140.
I don't think it's in, I thought I had it written down.
Outside the fencing area?
Yes, to kind of screen the area.
To block the sun from the solar panels?
Well, to block the view as you're driving along. And I don't see the site plan here. I see all the electrical plans.
here? Start again?
No? Keep going.
You know, I know that.
This one.
Other than
I think
it
this is
works.
the first section.
Right. There, to the ground floor, someplace else.
Another plan, so-
It's on a fast.
We don't need it right now, but we should probably find it.
I'll stop streaming the movie and then begin. It's not, there's no password for the guest.
Right, the final, this is the as-built of the, all the information that was the electrical stuff. So we need to let them know before we do the recommendation.
Well, you can't see it.
We need a.
Works it out,
site-
you know?
This doesn't give us the.
It just has to be written down someplace.
Did this just come in, Melanie?
This is their as-built for the project for all the construction.
We have to get on the internet to get to his network. That's what.
Reference drawings.
So this is issue for construction 16.
So we need to revise site plan?
We need a
Oh,
plan,
yeah.
yes.
It sounds, it sounds, well, which would be these?
I got it now, but I'm using my.
Oh, that's no.
Because we have all the PV notes, we don't,
Okay, so you have
I
a.
got
we
it.
don't have those, would that be what we're reading?
Possible, but we don't
The
have
old one,
enough,
I
so
still have
we
mine.
can contact them and ask for what we need.
You have this?
So we
They had the old one,
can-
27 Hartwell, from a long time ago.
Same thing?
I don't think so. I think it's just open here. No password.
Correct.
Because I gave that to you before in that.
Yeah, this is from 2016, they need to do an as-built.
Well, I
If
guess,
they
kind
have
of like open,
it, yeah.
it's just open, there is no password, no password.
No.
Probably.
It wouldn't have been anywhere else because it was with that report, so.
I think it's capital H.
Just,
Make the H capital.
just resubmitted the sheets that changed.
Wayne, you getting what you
Yes,
need?
yeah, maybe.
To us.
Maybe.
2, yeah?
Yeah. See that.
Did exactly what it's supposed to
Sign?
This one, I have the last, I don't have the signed copy. I have the last submittal that they made, which they only resubmitted certain
I
sheets
had
that they
it, but
modified.
now I just,
And I can show the
All
board.
right, I'm deleting that.
All right, so what we're looking at for the solar field on the town landfill, the old landfill, we're trying to close that out to issue a certificate of completion, close out the site plan review, and they submitted some drawings that are the electrical drawings for the work, but not the site plan drawing.
Okay.
As built. So-
Start again?
This is the planning board.
Oh, all right, I'm back in.
The drawing, what they submitted was not adequate. There's no site plan in there. It's just the electrical work. Plans for all the way the electrical stuff is laid out. So there's no site plan for landscaping or anything like that. So we can't issue,
A recommendation, we were gonna
Oh,
try
for
to
that one,
close out-
not this one, for
Yeah.
the, okay.
solar
All right.
panel.
For the solar panels, we're
Okay.
trying to close that out.
Do we need
And
a new
we need,
as-built
we
or
actually
something?
need an as-built. They didn't give us, they gave us the final design plans for the electrical layout, but they didn't give us the site plans, an as-built of the site plans.
So we can't do that. So who lets, who lets them know about that?
Well, yeah, if you can,
Jonathan Fitch.
yeah, and he was good, he actually said, I sent a draft of this off to him as well, and he replied and said, oh yeah, we're planning on, we couldn't do it earlier this summer, we were waiting for the weather to agree with us, and they were gonna be doing that in August, September. So, he was in the process of doing it anyway, so now we wait for, we're in no rush to do it. It's now just to get that so that we can close our file out.
Yep.
Does that make sense to you?
So
Wayne, what
you
do
show a
have?
line that says
Yeah, it's pretty clear.
berm.
I looked at it today, and I didn't take a photograph of this, but, here's the area, so let's just So here's.
Why don't you come forward?
Here's Sterling Street.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will. So here's Sterling Street, here's the driveway. They show a little, basically a turnaround, and they installed asphalt right there to cut this off. It's kind of tough to see, their plans are not the best, but you can see the background where the old driveway was, and they show that that's gonna be saw cut. Pine Brook Estates, I can't read that upside down, responsible to modify or remove pavement if desired. So they're, basically, they cut off access as of that point. The reason I noticed this is they had two trailers parked here today, and I saw them, and I saw the berm behind it. So it looks like they built, I'm not gonna guarantee it was exact, but it looks like they built roughly in accordance with what was requested and discussed at the public hearing.
Well,
Looks accurate
That's-
to me as to what was built, yep.
There's no access to this, to the condo place, any other place off of, Sterling Street?
Not on Sterling Street, no.
Okay.
We've always shared that driveway.
how do we
when we run a
resolve this?
Motel.
Well,
Can we ask them to open it back up?
well, the situation is that at the public hearing for the site design, for our site plan